When all the millionaire chefs doubted her, this dishwasher revealed a life-changing secret. Maria stood in the back of that fancy restaurant, steam swirling around her like dreams lost in the hustle of Chicago. The city skyline loomed outside, a shining promise of what seemed unreachable. At 26, she was just a dishwasher, scrubbing plates that once held exquisite meals, yet beneath her soapy hands lay the fire of her ambition. Day in and day out, she wiped away grease and grit, her heart beating with the rhythm of clanging dishes that echoed the hopes of a girl who wanted more than the kitchen she toiled in. From a working-class immigrant family, Maria wore her heritage like a badge of honor. Her parents had sacrificed everything to build a stable life, their love for cooking coursing through her veins. But now, in the dazzling world of elite chefs and Michelin stars, she felt invisible, often silenced by the unnoticed grind of dish soap and neglect. They didn't see her, those millionaire chefs, didn't notice the way she brightened the kitchen with her passion. That is, until she stirred a pot of simple ingredients one afternoon. That day was like any other. Maria was preparing a vegetable stock. But as she absent-mindedly added spices, something magical happened. Each ingredient sang when paired in a certain way: fresh basil, a sprinkle of salt, a splash of vinegar, ultimately creating a flavor that took her breath away. It danced on her tongue like a long-lost melody. But when she shared it with the chefs, they laughed, their arrogance overshadowing her small triumph. Just another dishwasher dreaming too big. "Oh, it's just a little dish," one chef sneered, eyes twinkling with derision. Maria felt the heat of humiliation rise up in her cheeks, but she couldn't shake off the taste that lingered in her mouth. The urge to prove herself bubbled within her, hotter than the steam that fogged her glasses. Standing at that crossroads, Maria decided to challenge herself. She entered an exclusive cooking competition, a fearsome arena where the hungry eyes of those millionaire chefs would dissect her every move. "Are you sure about this, Mija?" her mother questioned, worry creasing her brow. The stakes felt high. Could her dreams fracture the family she so deeply loved? Yet, deep down, Maria's heart thundered with possibility, urging her to take the leap. As she prepared for the competition, a charismatic millionaire chef approached her, promising to mentor her, to unlock doors she had always dreamed of. But there was a catch: trust was tricky, and betrayal masked in friendship could sting like betrayal. A fight erupted at home, her family torn between the pursuit of dreams or the comfort of stability. With competition day dawning, relentless butterflies swarmed in her stomach. On stage, the spotlight bright, the crowd buzzing. Then, a sudden noise echoed, stealing her breath. Someone had walked in, someone unexpected. The announcer called her name. Maria took a deep breath, pulling strength from her family's sacrifices, the love they shared, and the dreams they stitched together. It was showtime. Would she rise or fall? Her heart raced as the crowd turned, the world watching, her moment on the brink. What would happen next? Maria stepped forward, the spotlight blinding, but her resolve was as clear as the gleam of her pristine chef's coat. The sound of the crowd faded, replaced by the pulse of her heartbeat, thumping a rhythm that echoed her dreams. Each eye focused on her, a microscopic scrutiny that made her stomach twist. She stood behind her cooking station, dusting her hands together to shake off the nerves. The tables were set, but her path was all but clear. The recipe was locked in her mind, simple yet glamorous, just like her journey. She remembered the moment she had crafted that perfect balance of flavors, how it had opened a door to a world that felt far away. Maria turned to the ingredients lined up before her. Fresh herbs, vibrant vegetables, and glistening proteins awaited their turn under her knife. She could feel the weight of expectations, hers and everyone else's. Would they see the beauty in her dish, or would they snicker and toss her aside again? Taking a deep breath, she began her dance. The sounds of chopping and sizzling filled the air like music, intoxicating and vibrant. With each knife stroke, she poured her heart into the dish, the years of watching her parents cook, the love infused into every meal they shared, and the dreams she had dared to whisper to the moon. But halfway through, an unsettling noise distracted her. A chair scraped back in the audience. Maria's gaze darted through the crowd until it landed on a familiar figure: Victor, the charismatic chef who had promised her mentorship. He stood with an enigmatic grin, arms crossed, watching her intensely. Had he come to support her, or was he here to critique? It was hard to tell in the harsh lighting. In that moment of distraction, she nearly splashed the sauce she was reducing. The pressure mounted as she could feel the judgment in the air. She pushed those thoughts away, focusing instead on the aromas swirling around her. Every layer she built added to her confidence, and soon, the dish began to take shape, mirroring her journey of transformation. Final touches were applied, a sprinkle of microgreens here, a drizzle of oil there. This wasn't tea, just food to her. It was her story served on a plate. When she stepped back to admire her creation, a quiet smile crept onto her lips. She had done it. She had poured everything she was into this moment. The time ticked down, and the announcer's voice rang in her ears again. 30 seconds left. Panic rushed in, but Maria steadied herself. She garnished her plate and, with a flourish, placed it down before the judges, a trio of chefs with impeccable pedigrees. She watched their faces intently, searching for any sign of acknowledgement. The first bite, the crunch echoed. A hush fell over the room as they tasted her labor. Maria's heart raced. Were they whispering about her? Their expressions twisted into contemplation. Her mind flashed to her family, her mother's worried gaze, her father's relentless belief, and she felt a sweet pulse of hope. But as they began to discuss among themselves in hurried whispers, Maria realized the clock was ticking toward her climax. A mix of fear and anticipation danced in her chest. Would they recognize her worth? Would they see her not just as a dishwasher, but as a culinary artist with a vision? Then, like a thunderclap heralding a storm, the head judge raised his eyebrows, whispering something that caught Victor's ear. Maria caught her breath. What had been said? Judges, your decision is about to be revealed. The announcer's voice cut through the tension. As Maria's heart pounded, her palms clammy against the counter. There was no turning back. Would she carve her place in this world or vanish like so many dreams dashed before her? The moment of truth was here. The words hung in the air like a heavy fog, thickening the anticipation that coursed through the room. All eyes were on Maria, a tension so palpable she could nearly taste it. She could almost hear the judges' whispers. What were they discussing? The minutes felt like hours. Wait for it, she whispered to herself, as if that mantra could slow down time just enough to ease her racing heart. The three judges leaned in, their faces shifting from contemplation to something she couldn't quite read. Every moment stretched her nerves thinner, but she wouldn't fold. Not now. After tasting the delightful intricacies of each chef's dish today, we have made our decisions. The announcer's voice drummed through the silence, clawing at her anxiety. And then came the moment she had both craved and feared. Maria, your dish was a revelation. Her breath hitched. Was it real? A smile broke across her face with the warmth of the sun after a storm. The head judge continued. The combination of flavors, the artistic presentation, every aspect told a story that resonated with us deeply. The audience shifted, whispers stirring as she caught Victor's approving nod from the corner of her eye. A rush of pride flooded her. She was more than just a dishwasher. She was an artist, and they saw it now. Yet a flicker of doubt crept in. Would this be a fleeting moment of glory or the first chapter of her true story? As the applause rumbled through the crowd, Maria felt a mix of exhilaration and vulnerability. Each clap was a pebble tossed into the serene pond of her heart, causing ripples of hope. But would she be able to grasp this chance? The challenges ahead loomed large in her mind. Then, the announcer declared, and now, for the final prize. Mentorship with one of our esteemed judges. It was her dream wrapped in reality, fluttering just out of reach. Maria locked eyes with Victor again. His expression was both encouraging and imposing. What would it mean to work under him? Did he truly believe in her abilities? As the winner was announced, and her name brought forth the cheers of the crowd, one question gnawed at her. What price would she pay for that dream? And would she still recognize herself once she had climbed this mountain? Congratulations. Victor's voice broke her train of thought as he approached her, confidence radiating from him like a beacon. You've risen from the shadows beautifully, Maria. But remember, every step forward comes with its own trials. A shiver danced up her spine. His words lingered in the air, heavy with implication. What kind of challenges awaited her in this new chapter? Would the kitchen still feel like home after the lights dimmed and the applause faded? As eliminated contestants congratulated her, Maria stood at the center, torn between bliss and apprehension. Would the newfound pressures alter her passion for cooking? Or would it ignite a fierce determination to thrive in a world that had underestimated her? Then, Victor leaned in closer, his voice barely above a whisper. Are you ready for the truth about this industry? She met his gaze, sensing the weight within the question. Was she truly prepared for what lay ahead? The room around her pulsed with energy, but a deeper tension crackled in the air. What awaited her on the journey she had dared to step onto? Did her dreams hold the bittersweet depths of reality she hadn't yet considered? The moment was electric, and she could feel her pulse racing. With the applause still echoing in her ears and Victor's question weighing heavily on her heart, Maria braced herself. Would she uncover a secret that would change everything? The atmosphere felt charged, like an approaching storm. Maria stood amidst a flurry of congratulations, yet her mind swirled with doubt. What truth was Victor hinting at? She had spent countless hours in the kitchen, believing in the beauty of her craft, but now, uncertainty wrapped around her like a shadow. As everyone around her celebrated, she felt like an outsider looking in. Maria? A familiar voice pulled her attention. It was Lisa, one of her friends from the kitchen. Her face glowed with excitement. I can't believe you did it. You totally deserve this. Thanks, Lisa. Maria smiled, but the joy felt distant, muted by the weight of Victor's words. Are you going to tell us what he said? Lisa probed, bouncing on her toes with curiosity. I don't know, Maria stammered. Her heart ached with the fear of the challenges ahead. He just asked if I'm ready for the truth about this industry. A look of concern crossed Lisa's face. That sounds ominous. She nudged Maria gently. But you've got this. Remember how hard you worked? Maria nodded, but her mind wandered back to Victor's intense gaze. There was something hidden behind it. Would the kitchen's warmth be replaced with cold competitiveness? Would she find joy in cooking if she started climbing the ladder? You'll be fine. Reassuring words broke through her thoughts, revealing the soft but firm presence of Victor beside her once again. You have talent, but trust me, the road ahead won't be easy. An unsettling stillness settled between them, a moment filled with unasked questions. Maria couldn't shake off the feeling that there was darkness nestled in the glamorous world of cooking, a darkness that could dim the light she had just ignited within herself. I want to be ready, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. But what do you mean by the truth? Victor leaned in closer, his eyes piercing hers. The kitchen can be ruthless. There will be jealousy, rivalries, and sometimes, the people you trust may not have your best interests at heart. Maria's heart raced. The anticipation twisted into dread. Would the bright flames of her dream make her vulnerable to burns she couldn't see coming? As he spoke, the whispers of doubt echoed louder in her ears. Would her passion take a hit if she had to armor herself against envy? Would her art be relegated to a competition rather than a creative outlet? Her thoughts whirled like a storm, exciting yet terrifying. Believe in your passion, Victor said, sensing her struggle. Remember why you started. That fire has to be fierce enough to survive this world. With those parting words, he stepped back, leaving Maria alone in her thoughts once again. She looked around, the applause of the audience now a distant chant. As the celebration continued, Maria felt a mix of exhilaration and fear wrestling within her. The excitement of winning felt raw and fresh, yet the prospect of facing the less glamorous side of the culinary world loomed large. Was she truly ready for what was next? Would her love for cooking withstand the tests ahead? The applause faded, replaced by a profound silence in her heart. She took a deep breath, her fingers trembling as they brushed against the fabric of her apron, a symbol of all she had endured and overcome. Could she balance her artistic spirit with the sharp edges of the industry? Could she remain true to herself amid the chaos and the competition? With a determined gaze, she vowed to find out. But just as she made that promise to herself, Victor stepped back into her view, a challenge sparkling in his eyes. I hope you're prepared for what happens next, Maria. Tomorrow is just the beginning, and it won't be easy. Her pulse quickened once more. The journey was far from over, and in that moment, Maria knew she was on the brink of something monumental. But what would it all cost her? The stage was set for the next act, and she was ready to face the spotlight. The following morning felt like a new beginning, but also an unanswered question. Dawn broke through her window, casting a warm light on the small kitchen that had been both her sanctuary and battlefield. Maria stood staring at the bright yellow walls, hoping to find answers. The warmth felt artificial, like a spotlight illuminating her uncertainty. She glanced at her reflection in the window and barely recognized the person staring back. There was a spark of determination in her eyes, yet also a flicker of fear. Was she ready to face the world she longed for, knowing the battles that might come with it? The prize had been a glorious moment, but now it was just a fleeting memory, overshadowed by Victor's ominous prediction. After a quick breakfast, she gathered her knives, her most trusted tools which glinted in the morning light. Each blade had a story, a memory of successes and mistakes. If she had learned anything, it was that cooking was as much about vulnerability as it was about skill. The heart she put into each dish was part of what made it memorable. That as she walked to the culinary school, the streets buzzed with life, but all she could hear were Victor's words, echoing warnings about jealousy and rivalry. A deep breath filled her lungs, where familiar scents of morning coffee and pastries wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. This was what she loved, yet uncertainty still gnawed at her with each step. When she arrived, the kitchen was already alive with eager students, their laughter and chatter mixing with the clatter of pots and pans. But Maria couldn't shake that sense of distance. She felt like a ghost amongst them, drifting silently while they celebrated their achievements. Her heart sank as she noticed some of the more seasoned chefs whispering as she passed by. "Look who it is. The new star," one of them scoffed, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Maria's stomach twisted. The lightness of morning dimmed, and she took a breath to steady herself. What if Victor was right? What if she was just a fleeting anomaly in this unforgiving world? "Hey, don't let them get to you." A voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. It was Lisa, her friend, and a fellow chef who had been quick to offer support. "What they say doesn't matter. You've got talent. Just focus on your work." "Thanks, Lisa," Maria managed to say, grateful for her presence. The day continued with a series of intense cooking sessions where tension simmered in the air. Maria poured her heart into her dishes but felt eyes on her, dissecting her every move. Critics disguised as classmates, whispers masked with baked goods, all calculated as they pitted their skills against hers. But it was only during one of the quiet moments, when she scrubbed an extra dirty pan at the sink, that fate intervened. "You're really good. You know," a voice came from behind her. Maria turned to see Rachel, one of the most skilled chefs in the school, leaning against the counter with an approving nod. "Thanks. Just trying to keep up," Maria replied, unsure of what to expect next. Rachel stepped closer, a glimmer of intrigue in her eye. "If you want, I could show you a technique I learned at that Michelin star restaurant last summer. It'll change your game." Maria blinked in surprise. This was the moment she hadn't inferred to expect, a light amidst all the shadows of doubt surrounding her. "Really?" She barely managed to whisper, sensing the weight of her response. "Yeah, meet me after class. I'll let you in on a little secret." As hope sparked inside her, Maria felt the weight lift just a little. Perhaps the true world of cooking wasn't entirely filled with rivalries, but wonder too. What could this technique reveal? What doors could it open for her? Determined to seize every opportunity, she resolved to capture the secret and forge her own path, whatever it may entail. As she turned back to her work with renewed energy, her heart raced at the thought of stepping even further into this unpredictable culinary journey. But little did she know, unraveling that secret might pull her further into the complexities of her dream, exposing even deeper challenges along the way. The kitchen buzzed with energy as the day wore on, but Maria's mind danced only with thoughts of meeting Rachel. Each minute felt like an eternity as she navigated through cutting and sautéing, her hands working almost on autopilot. In the back of her mind, doubt lingered, whispering that this could all vanish just as quickly as it arrived. When class finally ended, the sound of clanging pots and sizzling pans faded, leaving a stillness that felt foreign and oddly comforting. Maria wiped her brow and took a deep breath, ready to confront the unknown. She spotted Rachel at the far end of the kitchen, her posture relaxed yet confident. It was a stark contrast to Maria's racing heart and jittery hands. She approached, finding it hard to ignore the weight of envy from some of their classmates who eyed Rachel with a mix of admiration and resentment. "Hey, ready?" Rachel said cheerfully, her smile brightening the chilly air. Absolutely. What is the technique? Maria asked, desperately wanting to absorb every bit of wisdom. Let us head to the back room. It's quieter there. Rachel led the way, her pace brisk and assured. Inside, the space was cluttered with ingredients, mismatched dishware, and a few culinary books stacked high, each one a testament to unfulfilled ambitions. All right, let us make something special, Rachel said, pulling out a couple of ingredients. We're going to learn how to make a killer soufflé. It takes precision, trust me. But once you get it, it'll open doors for you. Soufflé? ISNT, that what everyone fears. Maria chuckled, her nerves ebbing just a little. Rachel nodded, a glint in her eye. Exactly. And that's why this dish will make you stand out. It's all about timing and that extra dash of care. Once you master it, it'll show your creative flair. It's vulnerable and powerful at the same time. As they began, Rachel showed Maria how to fold delicate egg whites and whisk the batter. There was something magical about the way she worked, her hands moving fluidly, radiating confidence. Slowly, Maria began to break through barriers she didn't realize she had built around herself. This feels different, she admitted, feeling lighter with each movement. Good. Cooking is an emotional experience. The best dishes connect with who you are, Rachel encouraged, her voice steady and kind. As they prepared the soufflé, laughter poured from them, releasing the tension that had clung to Maria all day. For the first time, she felt she wasn't just a competitor, but part of a community. Then Rachel dropped the bombshell. You do know this is just the beginning, right? Rachel said, her expression shifting from playful to serious. If you want to make a name for yourself, you'll have to take risks. Maybe even big ones. Maria's heart sank. Like what? I'm already in over my head here. Like entering competitions, showcasing your dishes, maybe even connecting with people outside this school. Rachel took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. You might face rejection, but each time you put yourself out there, you'll grow. With that, they slid the soufflé into the oven. Maria stared at it, afraid of failure, yet yearning for something more. Each puff of air made her heart race with excitement and terror. All at once, as the timer ticked down, anticipation filled the space, a quiet confidence blossoming inside Maria. What if she dared to step out of her shadow? What if she did embrace her dreams, flaws and all? Just remember, Maria, you're not alone in this, Rachel said, fixing her gaze on the oven. The best chefs know they need their own crew. Just as the timer chimed and the soufflé emerged golden and airy, the door swung open. A figure stepped inside, and Maria's stomach dropped. It was Victor, his eyes scanning the room. The tension shifted instantly. What did he want now? Could he tear apart what she was on the precipice of creating? The moment of truth had arrived, and Maria stood on a precipice, uncertain of what awaited her beyond the door. Would she find strength to confront Victor or sink back into doubt? Victor's presence loomed in the cramped room, an unsettling weight pressing against Maria's chest. She could feel her heart hammering against her ribcage like a trapped bird, desperate to escape. Rachel shifted slightly, her gaze cutting sharply towards Victor, a protective edge framing her posture. What are you doing here? Maria managed to spit out, her voice barely above a whisper, yet it held a slice of defiance. Victor raised an eyebrow, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. Just checking in on my favorite contestant, he said, his tone laced with sarcasm. I see you found a new friend to help you chase those culinary dreams. Cute. Maria clenched her fists, fighting the urge to snap back at him. She remembered too well the stinging words he had hurled her way in the past. It was like reliving a nightmare she desperately wanted to escape. What do you want, Victor? Her voice was stronger now, rising above the past doubts clinging to her. That soufflé looks great, he replied, eyeing the golden masterpiece that sat cooling on the counter. But let us be honest, you and I both know you're not ready for the spotlight. You belong where you started. Enough. Rachel interjected, stepping forward. Maria is more than ready. She has been working hard, and she is growing. You can't keep belittling her. Victor's smirk faltered for a moment, surprised at Rachel's confrontational tone. And what do you know about this world? He shot back, his voice tinged with annoyance. You think a little baking lesson can change everything? The room fell into a hesitant silence, Maria's heart in her throat, caught between fear and rage. She took a breath, forcing herself to focus on Rachel's words from earlier: the risks, the community, the encouragement she felt while preparing the souffle. I'm not trying to prove anything to you, Victor, Maria said slowly, her confidence growing. I'm doing this for myself. It's not about where I started, but where I choose to go from here. And no amount of intimidation will change that. Victor chuckled, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Think you can handle the pressure? The competition's aren't for the faint of heart. Maria felt a fire ignite within her, fueled by his doubt. I can handle anything you throw at me, she declared, a sense of determination ringing in her voice. All you've done is push me to work harder. Rachel beamed at her, encouragement radiating between them. See, you've got this, Maria. You're more than capable. Victor crossed his arms, assessing the two of them, his expression unreadable. But Maria could sense a shift. The grip he had over her was loosening. All right then, I'll give you a chance, he said after a long pause, his voice almost begrudging. I'll be at the competition to see if you back up your words. Just remember, it's cutthroat out there. You'll either flourish or fall flat. With that, he turned on his heel and strolled out, leaving behind a mixture of tension and relief. Maria exhaled deeply, shaking off the remnants of Victor's presence. Did I really just stand up to him? She asked, still feeling the rush of adrenaline. You did, and I'm proud of you, Rachel said, her eyes sparkling with approval. Now, let us focus on what's next. You've got a competition to prepare for. As they worked together to clean up, Maria couldn't shake the feeling of excitement mixed with dread. It hit her then. Wait, when is this competition? I need to know what I'm up against. Rachel turned serious again, wiping her hands on her apron. It's in 2 weeks. You'll need to practice, put your best dish forward. 2 weeks? The urgency sunk in, a reality check that left her breathless. What if I'm not ready? What if I fail? Then you fail. But you know what? Every great chef has failed before. It's part of the journey. With a fresh perspective, Maria nodded, a flicker of hope sparking inside her. Okay, let us do this. I want to put everything I've learned into this dish. Before she could finish her sentence, her phone buzzed to life with a new message. Distracted, she glanced down, her heart sinking as she read the text. It was from her brother, saying their family was struggling, and he needed her help. The kitchen around her blurred, the excitement of the competition colliding with her responsibilities back home. What was she supposed to do now? Would she step up for her family, or chase this dream that felt so close yet so far? Maria stared at the message on her phone, the words blurring with the heat rising in her chest. It felt like a vice tightening around her heart. Her brother's request pulled her back to humbler times, when every dollar mattered, and the weight of her family's expectations seemed to rest on her shoulders alone. Hey, you okay? Rachel asked, her brow knitting in concern as she took a step closer, looking equally worried. Not really, Maria admitted, lowering her phone. It's my brother. He says they're struggling, like really struggling. Her voice trembled slightly, a mixture of concern and helplessness washing over her. Rachel's expression shifted from confusion to understanding. You don't have to choose right now, but you've worked so hard, Maria. You've come so far. Tears pricked at the edges of Maria's eyes. I know, but what kind of sister would I be if I just left them high and dry? They need me. The stakes felt monumental, as if she were standing between two paths, each leading to a different kind of heartache. Maybe there's a way to do both, Rachel suggested, her tone gentle but firm. What if you used this competition to not just chase your dreams, but to also help them? If you win, you could take home some prize money, but what if I fail? Maria interrupted, guilt tightening like a noose around her throat. What if I'm not good enough? Then you learn, Rachel stated, strong and unwavering. Every chef has faced setbacks. You have talent, and people believe in you. Just think about what you could do if you gave yourself a chance. The clamor of pots and pans surrounded them, but all Maria could hear was Rachel's counsel echoing in her mind. The competition was an opportunity not just for success, but a chance to provide for her family. It was a spark of hope in the midst of despair, and perhaps she could ignite that spark to make a fire. Maybe I can find a way to balance both, Maria said, her voice steadier now. I can practice hard, win the competition, and help my family. I need to try, for myself and for them. Exactly. Rachel's face lit up with enthusiasm. Let us set a practice schedule. We can work on your signature dish and make it something they'll remember, Maria's heart soared at the thought of not losing sight of her dreams. It was risky, yes, but it was also exhilarating. With each practice session, they'd build something stronger, a foundation that could help her rise to the challenge. They dived into preparation, their laughter interspersed with the clatter of utensils, a rhythm that made the kitchen feel alive with possibility. Maria started organizing her thoughts, sketching out ideas for her dish while Rachel prepped ingredients. Suddenly, a thought struck her. You know about so many different cuisines, right? What if I create something unexpected, something that could really impress the judges? Rachel's eyes sparkled. Let us explore. You could draw inspiration from your family's background. Make it personal. A dish that tells your story. With renewed vigor, they pored over cookbooks, combing through recipes that would blend tradition with flair. It was invigorating, a reminder that cooking wasn't just about technique. It was about connection, about sharing pieces of oneself on a plate. As they finalized their plans for practice, a thrill zipped through Maria. Today marked a turning point. She would not only stand up to Victor, but to her own fears and doubts. She felt a resolve building within her. Outside, the sun dipped low, casting a warm glow through the kitchen window. The moment began to cement itself, a memory to carry into the competition. Tomorrow is a fresh start, Rachel said, a gleam of excitement in her voice. No matter what happens, I'll be right here cheering you on. Thank you, Rachel. I can't do this without you. But just as they were about to check the meal one last time, Maria's phone pinged again. A message flashed from an unknown number. Her heart skipped a beat. Was it more about her family? Was it about her past? What now? Rachel asked, raising an eyebrow. Maria held her breath. I don't. No. But I have a feeling this might change everything. What lay behind that message could be a new chapter or even more trouble. But one thing was certain: she had to find out. Maria's heart raced as she stared at her phone, the unknown number taunting her with its promise of secrets. She felt Rachel lean closer, their shoulders brushing together, a solid support against the uncertainty. Taking a deep breath, she opened the message. Maria, I need to talk. It's important. Can you meet me? The message was simple, but her mind began racing with questions. Who had reached out? Was it someone from her past? Her thoughts flickered to her childhood, to the shadows of old friends and foes. She felt a mix of excitement and dread. Who is it? Rachel probed, eyeing her with curiosity. It's someone who wants to meet. Maria mumbled, weighing her options. Do you know them? Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, uncertainty pouring through her as she considered her reply. Maria was caught between the fierce desire to confront her past and the urgent need to focus on her current aspirations. I don't know, she whispered. It could be trouble. Rachel's intense gaze softened. You can't let it distract you from everything we've just planned. You have a competition coming up. Maria nodded, but the thrill of the unknown tugged at her. What if this meeting changed everything? This could be a chance to gain insight or maybe even support in ways she hadn't considered. I'll meet them. Just to see, Maria decided, feeling a surge of determination wash over her. But I'll make sure it's quick, and I won't let it derail my practice. Okay, just promise me you'll be careful. Remember, you have so much to lose, Rachel warned, her voice turning serious. I will, Maria assured her, although her heart fluttered with mixed feelings about what lay ahead. As they finished up in the kitchen, Maria couldn't shake the sense of foreboding that accompanied her anticipation. The next day, she would enter a competition where expectations were high and talents would be tested. Yet, the pull of the message loomed over her like a dark cloud. Later that evening, as she lay in bed, Maria stared at the ceiling, feeling the weight of two worlds pressing down on her. She revisited the familiar walls of her childhood home in her mind, the nights spent helping her mom in the kitchen where she had first found her passion. The thought of her brother struggling gnawed at her, spinning her thoughts in every direction. Images of the competition danced in her mind, but now they were interspersed with the faces of those who had doubted her. She had always felt like an underdog, forgotten in the shadows of emerging culinary stars. This was her moment to step into the light. But what if the wrench thrown into her plans by the mysterious message turned her life upside down? The next morning, she met Rachel early to practice. They moved with rhythm, an unspoken understanding flowing between them. Just as Maria was about to master her dish, her phone buzzed again. It's them, she said, glancing at the screen. They want to meet today. Rachel raised an eyebrow, concern etching her features. You can't keep putting this off, Maria. You need to know what it's about. Fine, Maria said, steel in her voice. I'll go right after practice. But first, I need to own that kitchen. I need to show everyone that I'm not just a dishwasher. The passion ignited in her chest, a fire she hadn't felt in ages. But what would she discover when she met this mysterious figure? Could it be the key to everything she had been fighting for, or would it plunge her deeper into chaos as the competition loomed ahead? As she flipped the final ingredient into her pan, the flames dancing in the skillet mirrored the tightrope she was walking. With every beat of her heart, Maria knew one thing. She was standing on the edge of a pivotal moment that could change everything. What awaited her when she walked away from the kitchen? She took a deep breath, feeling both fear and excitement, and accepted the challenge ahead. There was no turning back now. The sun had barely risen, casting an orange glow across Chicago, the bustling city slowly awakening around her. Maria stood in front of the large glass windows of the culinary school, her fingers trembling, heart racing. This was it. Today could reshape her entire life. The competition was just hours away, and she felt that electric mix of anticipation and fear coiling tight in her stomach like a well-sprung spring. As she stepped into the kitchen, the familiar clamor greeted her. Pots clanged, knives sharpened, voices buzzed around her like a swarm of bees. Yet within the chaos, Maria felt an unusual calm. Today, she wasn't just a dishwasher with grand dreams, she was a chef ready to step into her own. Her practice session with Rachel had transformed her vision. Shaping her culinary story into a cohesive dish had connected her roots with her aspirations. She could almost feel her family's warmth behind her every stir and sprinkle, motivating her to show the world what she could do. Today, she wouldn't just be cooking. She would be honoring her heritage, breathing life into her story, and proving to herself just how far she had come. As the competition began, the spotlight felt different. No longer a blinding glare, it warmed her skin. Her competitors held their heads high, but Maria found strength in quiet confidence, a silent affirmation that she belonged here, right at this moment. She glanced at the judges seated before her. Those once intimidating millionaire chefs now seemed anything but invincible. Then came Victor, walking in with his usual swagger, eyes scanning the room, landing on her. Maria straightened, igniting her determination. She would not shrink under his scrutiny. Today was about showcasing her spirit and her passion. Once the match began, Maria moved with purpose, hands flying over her ingredients, chopping, sautéing, creating. Each slice of her knife felt like a beat in a song only she could hear, a melody spinning around her dreams and aspirations. With every ingredient, she poured her heart into her dish. The vibrant hues of vegetables echoed her journey, and the carefully chosen spices whispered secrets of her family traditions. The minutes ticked down, the pressure thickening the air, but Maria felt the pulse of excitement. She garnished her plate with microgreens, the final flourish to her creation, before stepping back to survey her masterpiece. This wasn't just food. This was her soul breathed into a dish, a past woven into an unforgettable present. Soon it was time to present. She approached the table for the judges, stomach fluttering. A nervous murmur filled the air as she set her plate down, the aroma wafting up, dancing invitingly to the judges' noses. This is my dish, a reflection of my family, my journey, and the flavors of my culture, she declared, her voice steadied. As the judges took their first bites, the room fell silent. The seconds ticked like hours, her fate hanging in a delicate balance. In their faces, she searched for acknowledgement, recognition of her work. Then a ripple of surprise crossed their features. The head judge's brow arched in delight. This is remarkable, Maria, he said after a moment, and she could hardly breathe. Each layer tells a story, and it resonates so deeply. The way you've captured tradition while elevating it, this is genuine creativity. Applause erupted, and Maria's heart soared. It was real. She had succeeded in her pursuit, her dreams now tangible. In that moment, the weight of every late night and every doubt flew off her shoulders. But amidst the surge of victory, she thought of her family. They had cheered her on this whole way, even when her dreams felt far away. Finally, the time for the winners came. And our champion today is Maria. The crowd erupted, her name echoing like a joyful anthem. Tears pricked the corners of her eyes, and a radiant smile spread across her face. Bursting forth from the depths of her heart, as she received her medal, it felt like all those years of toil and challenge had led to this moment, the triumph of spirit over circumstance, of love over fear. But even more, it was the beginning. Victor approached her, a newfound respect in his gaze. You surprised us all. You fought beautifully in a world meant to intimidate. Remember, this is just the start. Use what you've learned to rise even higher. Maria nodded, feeling the strength in her. She was ready. Each step forward would now be one of purpose, determination, and love for those who had nurtured her along the way. Later that day, Maria sat in the stillness of her kitchen, her family around her, laughter and joy creating a symphony only they could play. She smiled, knowing she could now share her success with the ones who mattered most. The weight of her family's struggles felt lighter now, a shared burden that she would help to lift, but her aspirations remained strong and bright. Each dish served, each moment in the kitchen, these were her gifts to the world. Her love letter to her heritage that a fresh chapter lay ahead, and Maria was ready to step into the kitchen of life, embrace every challenge, and remember always to stir in a generous pinch of hope. And as she put her heart into her next creation, she couldn't help but smile. After all, she would never be just a dishwasher again. Now here is the call to action. If you've been inspired by Maria's journey, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for more incredible stories. Leave a like now to feed that algorithm. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this powerful transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this heartwarming story. Let us spread that inspiration.